Do we have any public comment? Okay, it doesn't appear that we have any. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the 18th of January. Those went out to the committee for their approval. Is there anything that needs to be added or deleted from the perusal of those minutes? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
My motion.
I'll make a motion. Oh, sorry, John.
John, you're motioning to approve. Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Ben. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is the presentation to the City Council on the trail use and parking. This is the same. We were asked, the Parks, Trails, Recreation Committee was asked to give their opinion on the trail usage and the parking at the top of Deep Forest Circle. And we did this in writing back in, I think it was August. And it never really went anywhere. So what we'd like to do is make a formal presentation to the City Council. I've talked to Mayor Winder about it, along with Councilman Lunt. And we just need to get the mayor to give us a date to put on the agenda. And I can ask Mayor Winder for that. I was thinking, I don't know, Janet and Ben, do you have any inkling if we did it the second meeting that you have in March? I think that's...
I think that one would be good because the first one is might be canceled or changed because it's the same as the caucus meetings. So we might not have one that first week or, you know, the second week in March.
Okay. So that would be the 22nd?
Yeah, that would probably be a good one.
Okay, I'll ask him if it's possible.
See if you can get on the agenda. I know our last agenda was pretty light. We are going to start on the budget soon, but you should be able to get on.
Okay, well, budget comes into play in part of the presentation. And I'm wondering what's the best way to get figures to present to the city of what the city's cost might be in maintaining the trail, you know, skid steer, markers for the water bars, to get this to be done annually, preferably in the fall, so that the snow can pack the water bars down. But who would I ask about that? Like, what is, Mike Prey, what is his time cost for a day, or what it would cost to use? I assume the city has a skid steerer. I don't know, to get up there and do some maintenance. I'm sure we can get volunteers to help with this, but to have some equipment would definitely, I think, be essential on a year-to-year annual maintenance kind of thing.
The city does have a skid steer. This time of year, it's down inside the salt shed because we use it to load the snow plows.
Okay.
But it is in existence, and it's a nice one. So.
Okay. Well, I guess then, what else would you think? Would it be just Mike's time to actually dig them out? I think we could, you know, pack them down with tampers where he piles the dirt up out of what he takes out of the trench.
Yeah, I'm just, with my knowledge of running a skid steer, I think a mini X is going to be better than the skid steer. Okay.
Do we have one of those?
We have one of those.
Okay.
It's not in as good as condition as the skid steer, but it functions fine. It works fine. So.
John, in your opinion, which one would smooth out or remove the rocks?
Kind of digging out the lower part of the trench to pull it to the back. The dig out portion is definitely going to be better with the Mini X.
Okay, and how about to remove or push the rocks that get to the side of the trail, particularly on the switchbacks from the motorized vehicles?
The Mini X has a little blade on the front of it, kind of like a grater blade that they can drop down, or you can just lift it up and not use it.
Okay.
So again, if I'm thinking of one piece of equipment, that's probably your better option.
So I think John's your person that can help you figure out how much it would cost.
Well, I don't know the city's costs.
But you could talk to Corbett or
Craig.
And find out.
I can run it, but then you're just looking at diesel, the cost of fuel, which is pretty minimal. I'm on the city's insurance because I plow, so that's
right.
That's usually Craig and Corbett's big issue is, it needs to be somebody that's covered with the city insurance. So.
Okay.
And I'm over volunteers for the city, so I can help get some more volunteers to help with that.
In all honesty, I don't think we will have a problem getting plenty of people to help with this in the fall, especially if we start spreading the word, 3 or 4 weeks in advance, and then just some subsequent reminders leading up to it. I think you get plenty of people power. So.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to need people up there too after the snow melts, which was our anniversary was our anniversary was the end of May. And Jeff and I couldn't get to where the avalanche came down because there was still snow there. Mm-hmm. But right now there's probably 6 or 7 trees across the trail that you have to skirt around to get back on the trail. So it will need some kind of maintenance come spring, late spring.
Yeah, a chainsaw, and then if you push it off the trail, just make sure when you push it off, it's in a good spot out of the way. But
yeah. Well, that's why I was thinking too, if we can get the water bars marked, because if you get volunteers up there cutting down trees, throwing them where the water bars are going to be diverting the water, that kind of circumvents the whole purpose of the water bar. So if they're somehow marked or they're told, I don't know.
Yeah, and again, Ted would be willing to help there on that.
Okay.
Again, just logistics and coordination.
Okay. So we'd like to get something in the budget so this can be done annually. And I think we discussed this at the last meeting, that it's preferable in the fall before it snows to do this, so that the trail doesn't have to be closed in the spring because you've got water bars that are trying to set up, which is what will happen this year.
Don't they usually get more damaged in the spring too, because it's kind of wet and mucky? Like, isn't that when the damage usually happens?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so for the presentation, we've got the PTR recommendation. We've got the survey. Greg said he would be willing to help with costs and drawings. And I think this more pertains to the parking recommendation that we made as well back in August, where the parking on Deep Forest Circle for pedestrian traffic would be, if you're familiar with what's going on up here with Taylor's right now, kind of where their dumpster is in the porta potty, running east and west across the top of Deep Forest Circle with a split rail fence there and signage that says, there's already no parking after dark, but violators will be towed away at owner's expense. I'm trying to remember who met with Corbett and I think it was Bob Otley and Jeff. We met with Corbett and we talked about the towing company, and he called one of them, and the response that we got from this company was, if the city authorized citizens, i.e. we have good eyes on Deep Forest Circle, Taylor's are going to have good eyes, Brockbanks are so-and-so, to call the towing company to tow away vehicles if they're not parked in the proper place or if they're parked after dark, it would work. So it's a way to help enforce people not to park in front of the fire hydrants, not to park in front of the easement road, not to park in front of driveways, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we'll just want to make sure that that entire cul-de-sac is marked very specifically, park here, don't park here. So
Yep.
that the dumbest of the dumb can read it and figure it out. It needs to be simple, but thorough.
Because if the Brockbanks have a bunch of teenagers over hanging out, they don't want all their cars towed. I'm just saying.
Exactly. No.
That might be one of my cars. So.
Yes, it might be.
If Richardson's over there.
When is Dave's home going to be done, Sherry?
When is who? Taylor's?
Dave Taylor's home going to be done?
They were hoping to be in mid-March. So
Okay,
I'd
so
say in another month.
Maybe.
Yeah, definitely by then.
Yeah, it's been a challenge to plow that this winter. I've had to chat with a few subcontractors several times when I've been up there.
Yeah, I have too. And for the most part, they're very respectful. And I was certainly appreciative of the city coming up and digging out the fire hydrant. And who is it, Corbett or is it Craig that trains the drivers? The snowplow drivers.
Corbett.
Corbett's over us, but it's Dave that is our liaison.
Okay.
And
because who's ever been plowing since Bob left has been plowing to the east rather than to the west where the fire hydrant is that was like totally buried in snow. So I mean, I get it. It's easy to clean up.
Since Bob left, we've only had like 2 3-inch storms. So
yeah, no, I'm not saying it was Bob, but you just get in a pattern of doing it the same way all the time. And I think Taylor's should be done mid-March. Of course, we hope.
I'm just thinking once they're gone, or once their home's done and the subs are not there, then I think we can take a real hard look of what's there, access points, and where you can and where you can't park.
Well, that's what the drawing shows that Greg put together when we did this before Taylor's really got into their construction. It looks like you can park maybe 8 to 10 cars head on into the fence, into the north end of the circle. If you put a split rail fence there and just signage, park head on into the fence only, make it as simple for anybody to understand.
So I don't recall that drawing, so maybe send that out again to everybody.
Okay.
You got it?
I'll do that. Yep, I do.
I would suggest strongly that that before you present that to the council, that you get that drawing in front of Craig, Chief Craig, and make sure he's okay with that from a fire perspective.
Okay, I can't remember if that was done, but that's a really good idea, John. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, on any day, there's no way a fire engine could turn around up there just because there's always something there. The only way we could turn around in there is if there was nobody there, and I don't know that ever is the case. There's always something or somebody up there. So.
Well, in terms of making this presentation, John, would you be willing to present the survey
to
the council?
When is it again she's looking at?
The 22nd of March, if that's okay with Mayor Winder.
Yeah, I should be here, so I could, yeah. Okay.
And I'm happy to do what our PTR recommendations were on the trail and on parking. Or maybe Greg can do the parking because he's the one that did the drawings and he's going to get the costs of what the split rail fence would cost if we did rocks in the back, or maybe we can get donations or whatever to hold that earth back. A lot of the earth has come down from the easement road. I mean, a lot of water's come down and it's taken a lot of the earth away from that bank that's on the north side. So it may serve us good to put some rocks back there to hold it back, because I don't think the city currently has any plans to fix that easement road that got damaged from all the trucks going up there to dump the dirt.
Yeah, I could see them grading it at some point once if they know they can do it. But we're still trying to do a burn up there.
Are you? Good.
Yeah, every week I hear from Chief that maybe next week, maybe next week. I thought we might see it this week, and maybe we still will. It's one of these things that it's probably going to be a 24-hour notice if it's going to happen. I'm sure it'll be pretty quick.
Okay.
I know Chief's working with the county on the burn, but also when it comes to that road, it is part of our agreement, I believe, and I could be incorrect here, but I believe that the agreement is with Taylor's that we will be resurfacing that road, whether with road base, whether with some other material. Corbett presented to the council last year prior to Janet and I with some different material options for the refinishing of that road. So it's very much underway in the planning, but we're waiting mostly for Taylor's completion of their home.
Yeah, you don't want to do it twice, that's for sure. So,
well, Corbett and I were talking today about the parking. He called me, and there's so many moving parts to everything. There's Taylor's, there's the mitigation project, there's the easement that's for water tank and pedestrian access only. That easement goes prescriptive in 2023. So does that mean that all those trucks hauling dirt are going to come back down if the mitigation project does go through? And that's not going to be for another 2 years. And how to fix the upper part of that road because of the weight of those trucks. I mean, there's so many different moving parts to the access to the trail, the easement, the parking. There's just a lot of moving parts that have yet to be determined really what's going to happen in the future. So I guess this is kind of a living document or a living trail, or and then there's Tueler's aspect of it as well. There's a lot of different parts to this, but I think we're doing the best that we can.
I was just going to chime in that may be why the city may be dragging its feet on the parking. Yeah. Because there may be, I mean, you know, it is moving parts, and there may be some other better options in the future. Not right now.
Well, the parking isn't critical, but it is in terms of snow plowing and fire safety for the residents up here. When you get sledders coming up here, and then the hikers, you know, blocking the hydrant. That's the critical part. It doesn't really have to do with trail access. It's more safety and being able to snow plow. That's what started all this part.
Yeah, I say I plow and I drive the fire truck, and both are concerns for that area. So.
Yeah, yeah. One other aspect, or there's two more pertaining to the presentation, has to do with grants. We could apply for grants if the city's willing to go that route. There's more grants for non-motorized, but there are grants for motorized. And the other thing is the zoning up there. I know the city currently does not have any open space zoning, but I'd like to see what all it entails to make the trail up there open space. It isn't really PF. Right now it's R2 PUD, and up at the water tanks is R2 PUD. So the zoning needs to be looked at as well. And then the cost of the signs too, what the signs would cost that we're looking at. John, do you have any idea as far as, I guess I could probably get that from Craig. Doesn't Craig order the signs for the city?
I think Craig orders some. I think maybe Jody does some. Maybe Jody could chime in if she's here listening.
Okay.
I know, I think a lot of it gets ordered from Zach Poulter, who lives down towards the bottom of the city.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so that could be a resource, at least if you're just looking for some pricing.
Yeah. Okay.
He does a lot of the banners and that. I know certain things Craig orders the signs because I see that down in the station. He's got them shoved in corners there and that.
Well, whoever ordered the signs for avalanche danger and no campfires that were put, I call it at the part of the trail by the Toolers there, you know, where the trail really starts to go up. That would give us a good idea. I can call Jody or Craig and ask them on costs of signs. Is there anything else you can think of that we should include in this presentation?
So Janet, are you the one that, for getting funds, are you and Ben the ones to throw dollar amounts or wish list?
Yes.
I think so.
We will help you get that.
I mean,
well,
we're both
we
so
can,
new,
yeah.
but yes.
Because we could probably give you a wish list that far exceeds what we'll get, I'm sure. So.
Well, maybe if they don't put the chipper days in our budget, it looks like we have a lot of money. You know, when the information goes out to the public, you know, when they see the budget and by line items, PTR has Parks, Trails, Recreation has $20,000.
Yeah, but
they're going to fix that.
The park,
they're going to fix that.
All that, yeah.
Yeah, and we have to remember too that we have other parks that we've got to focus on too. We need to, you know, if there's anything we want to do at the city park, we want to make sure we include that as well.
Well, that was another item that I had on the second item on the agenda. But before I go to that, can you think of anything else pertaining to the recommendations that we were already asked to make this formal recommendation to the city council? Is there anything else you can think of?
Have we worked much with the planning commission? I know that they need to work on the master plan again. We're up this year for that. Have we worked on collaboration between us and the master plan to get some of our requests in, like zoning changes, such as, you know, open space and getting those types of things in place?
We haven't requested anything pertaining to zoning. I did talk to Wayne about it a long time ago, but nothing recently as far as open space. And how do we obtain an open space zone in Woodland Hills? Because we currently don't have one. I mean, basically all Parks, Trails, Recreation has or ever will have, unless there's any development done on large parcels of land within the city, is the trail, the switchback trail, and the park. All the other land that the city owns is ravine. I think even down there by the salt shed is an easement. There just isn't any other.
The salt shed is an easement. It's not even owned by the city.
And the current, what is it called? That's in the master plan that has to do with trails. It's basically a wish list and it runs through people's private property.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to happen either. So that's something that, and you're right, Ben, we do need to approach planning. We've talked to Wayne and said we'd be happy to help in a survey or help you formulate questions for a survey, but that's really as far as it went. And he said when he was ready to do that, he'd let us know.
We have planning commission all night. Let me bring it up with Wayne.
Okay.
It's not on the agenda. I'm looking at it now. But I could probably just throw a side note. Hey, when are we thinking of this? In any of our discussions, it hasn't been brought up at all in the last several months. So it's definitely not on the front end of
okay. You mean for the master plan or?
The master plan, correct.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? Ben, thanks for that input. That was really good. Okay, well, maybe we should get together, John, Greg, myself, anybody else that wants to come to kind of formally put this presentation together to make sure we have all our ducks in a row before we actually make the presentation. I will call Mayor Winder tomorrow and see if the 22nd will work, and then we can plan on getting together. Does that sound good for everybody?
Yeah. Once you can get on the agenda, let me know. Let Greg. When's Greg going back to Switzerland though? Is it March?
He won't be going back. No, he won't be going back until, is it late spring or early summer? He'll be gone for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, when he leaves, he's going to be gone for a while. So.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if you get on the agenda, let me know, and then we can powwow and figure it out.
Great. Grants for pickleball and basketball courts in the park. Greg told me that he's willing to write the grant. I also know that Randy Larson has written grants as well. I think in terms of looking at grants, has anybody ever done that to see what grants are available? I started to, and then I dropped the ball.
I have not.
Where are they thinking of putting those? Where's the thought?
Well, I did. The only person in that vicinity that I approached and asked what did they think, because it might be right next to their house, was Brett and Marianne Iverson.
Okay, so you're thinking kind of on the back end there a little bit.
And
okay.
they were in favor of it.
Okay.
I mean,
but
if there's any,
I did communicate with Brett today to see if he'd be here tonight, and their young man got switched to tonight for that, so he's not. That's why he's not here.
Okay. Is there anybody that's willing to take a look? I mean, I just Googled recreational grants.
I can do it.
You can. Oh, thank you.
I don't really know where to look. That was what I was going to say. If you'll tell me where to look, I'll do some. I'm good at research and reading stuff.
Yeah, ask Greg Witt.
Okay.
Greg's kind of the guru of grants, at least on our here. And I don't know, maybe Byron or Dennis or somebody else knows stuff, but Greg definitely knows some of those resources if you want to maybe start with him.
Yeah, Janet, you might also try Mountain Land Association of Governments. They're really good at helping local communities plug into some of these grant funding agencies.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Janet. That'd be great. And if I remember correctly, I hope it's not March, but it may be May that is the deadline for grants. I don't think it takes much to write one, but it would just give us an idea going forward, and also for budget purposes, you know, for matching funds or whatever on the grant, what is needed or could be needed by the city in terms of matching funds. I mean, Carrie's good at it too, I think, because didn't she do a lot of that for the mitigation work
she did.
that was done?
Yeah, she's done a lot.
Okay. Anything else on pickleball, basketball? Greg mentioned to me that if we were going to be applying for a grant, he said it would be wise and cost effective to build some sort of equipment shed at the park for storing lawnmower and other park specific maintenance equipment. And that may be that, what does he use, a groomer for the cross-country skiing on the, maybe that could be stored there too.
Yeah, because that gets hauled back, and well, they leave it there for the winter, and then they haul it back down to the fire station for the summer.
Okay, so maybe we could include something like that in the grant too. Our maintenance costs on the park would decrease by some. Our water would be less because we wouldn't have sprinklers, we wouldn't have to mow the grass. So that could be a positive thing too. And I think it would be great for the kids and the adults for pickleball and basketball. Could be really good. Really, really good. Anything else on grants for pertaining to the park that anybody can think of?
Do we know how much pickleball, like what's this total bill? Is this a 10,000, 20,000? How much does a pickleball and a basketball court cost?
I don't really know. I have looked at it. They're not cheap. We could ask the Luntz across the street. They put one in.
I think that price is a moving target and changing every day, right?
For some reason,
current construction trend, yep.
For some reason, Ben, I have a figure in my mind, but I don't know if it's accurate. I think it's 60.
I was going to say 50. So,
and whether or not that is fencing and lighting, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious if there's something we could also do. If a grant didn't come through, you know, could we do a fundraiser of sorts? Could we, you know, make it community funded like the park in its, you know, birth was?
Well, lots of times those grants, you know, you do have to come up with some matching funds.
You have to have matching funds. The city's going to have some matching funds. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we probably need to know that too, like when we're figuring out the budget.
Okay, because I know I can take care of a lot of it. You know, if we've got people who would donate, you know, the concrete man hours. We'd have to pay for the concrete, but we could get somebody, you know, people in the city who are skilled in that way. Excavation, I can take care of that easy. So I'm thinking if we can get creative here, we could probably get it done for high quality and lower cost through Janet's volunteer effort. And I can help her with that. So I think we can get creative and really decrease this cost and have some fun options.
Well, that sounds great. I appreciate that input. I think we can too. And I think it would be a great asset for the community. Janet, you probably know because your kids are basketballers. Where do they go to play? Do they go down to Spanish? Do they go to Payson? Where do they go? I know that's where we go to play pickleball. Janet is at a basketball game.
Yeah, it's loud right here, so I didn't want to answer. They go down to the church. They go down either to the old church if they can get in, or they go down to Salem and go to a school.
Okay. Yeah, I think this would be great. I think it's a great thing for us to investigate, and with the help of the community, I think we can make this happen. I really do. Any other input for pickleball and basketball?
I think I'd love to see probably no lights on it. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are. Maybe I'm going too granular at this point, but
I'm okay with no lights living up here.
Yeah, I just think floods, one that'll put people there later.
Yeah,
be louder later.
Bugs, lots of bugs.
Well, we don't even have lights at the pavilion at the park, so.
And we should keep dark skies in mind. Remember dark skies?
Yeah, I think people can use it during daylight hours, and that works great. So.
Well, and in the summertime, what's the sun down by 9:45?
Yeah, they can play till 9 easily.
Yeah,
later.
Yeah, and it's up early.
Yep.
So you can play. But
and then the citizens will be happy because we'll be cost conscientious, right? We're saving money on lights. Just saying.
Well,
I think we could. Yeah, I think this won't be as expensive as I think we might be fearing. So.
Okay, that's great.
I just want to, before we go on, I just want to say how grateful I am to see some enthusiasm for this from our city council. I think that's totally awesome. Yeah. That's historically, that's not always been the case. So I love to see it.
Well, thank you.
That's a great comment, Byron. That's true. That's true. And that we have two city.
Go ahead. Sorry.
We have two city council representatives to help us on PTR, which I think from the mayor's standpoint in assigning or making the assignment of 2 councilmen to us shows that the mayor is supporting this as well, that this is something that the community really needs. So yeah, thank you guys for all your support.
And I just wanted to say, Sherry, we love you.
Amen.
Thanks. I love you guys too. It's my pleasure to work with all of you. It really is. For chair for PTR, the city has said to us that acting chair doesn't cut it, which Greg has been. Greg told me he is not willing to be chair because, you know, he'll be out of the country for 4 or 5 months in Switzerland and Ireland and England. He's branching out a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like he's going to try and set up something in the UK. So
yeah, great place to be. I loved it there when we lived there. I am willing to do this as chair for the rest of this year. I think our terms on the committee were a 2-year appointment. I'm willing to do that if we can get somebody to do the secretary part, which is really easy. I think maybe Michelle might. I don't want to speak for her, or maybe even Natalie. Dennis, are you willing? If anybody wants to be chair, I'm happy to stay as secretary.
I talked to Brett Iverson today and he said no.
He did? Okay.
Yeah, I did ask him.
Okay.
Another option would be to have maybe co-chairs as well. So maybe Greg could do it while he's here, or you could do it together and then you take over when he's gone. I mean, that's always an option as well.
Well,
okay.
You can
I don't know.
chair and a vice chair and just have the vice chair fill in when the chair's not here. So yeah.
Yeah.
You think that would work, Janet? That would fulfill whatever state requirement? That sounds like a great idea to me.
You could have a chair and a vice chair, and maybe Greg's the vice chair if he's willing, and he can help when he's here. But then when he's gone, you know, you can take over, or you can do it all the time, whatever you guys figure out.
Okay.
Yeah, all we need is just a nomination, and then, you know, we'll bring it forth to the council and make that decision.
Okay.
So hopefully,
secretary. I think that's what we did last time, and all the committee members. I don't know how the committee feels. Do we just keep the members that we have now, even though some are more active than others?
Yeah,
or do we try to solicit more people to be involved?
I don't know. It might not hurt to just put something out there in the city newsletter or something and see if anyone wants to be involved. There might be, you know, people are always talking about wanting to volunteer and no one ever asks them to volunteer. So maybe you could put something in the newsletter.
Okay, I can talk to Chloe about that. I mean, Jeff's seat is empty, and so is the 2 college students.
Oh yeah, the one girl and the other guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you might get somebody really enthusiastic and really good who can help push this stuff along too, you know.
Okay, that's a really good idea to put something in the newsletter. I'll get a hold of Chloe.
Yeah, I'd love to see if we can't get people, you know, more spread out throughout the city as well, and see if there's other areas of the city that they might be more cognizant of than we are.
Well, that was our hope when we initially, I think PTR was kind of defunct for quite a few years when it was resurrected. Mayor Prey wanted a diversity, you know, I don't want to say the lowlanders and the people up here in the snow, but more of a diversity from the city. And we did put out a request to Summit Creek specifically. And that's where Michelle and Natalie came from.
Michelle. And Dennis, where do you live now? Because I know you moved. You're muted, Dennis.
Dennis is over by Tambasco, I think.
I live on Maple Ravine Circle.
Okay, so you're over by Tambasco. All right, well, that's kind of in the middle there. So, all right. So we've got, yeah. And then Byron's down off of Sky Lake, right?
That's correct.
Yep.
By the way, Byron, I still need to talk to you about Antarctica sometime. So Julie and I are either going to go next winter or the winter after. So I do need to chat with you.
Yeah, let's get together.
Okay. And then we've got Greg, who's from up here, Brett, who's right next to the park, which I think's crucial to have some input from there. Trying to think who else is on the committee. Brad, where's Brad? Corey. Brad and Corey.
DeGraff and Reeds. Corey is, I don't know the name of the road. I've been to his home. It's where the real steep hill goes down.
Oak?
Yes.
Okay, so Corey's on the Oak. And then
it's almost Brad? At the bend.
Brad's my next door neighbor.
Oh, is Brad right next to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's up on Sky Lake. And DeGraff and Reeds and Larson's, Witts, Kathy Anderson.
Okay.
So it is kind of more. It is kind of more Thousand Oaks than other parts of the city.
So we've got Byron and Brad from down there. Yeah, it'd be good to have somebody from kind of the Maple and Valley View, somewhere in that area there. Yeah. Okay.
Well, when we get together for Dark Sky subcommittee, there is a woman in the community that's approached me who's helping cities become Dark Sky, who wants to be involved. So if we pulled her into the PTR net as well,
okay.
But I'm not sure where she lives.
But you have her name and contact info, right?
I do, yeah.
Maybe we reach out to her then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that approach. Maybe we do need to cherry pick some people. Hey, we like you for where you are and you are active. Let's bring you in. That'd be good.
Ben or Janet, do you have any suggestions as to people who, I mean, maybe there's a pool of people who regularly attend city council meetings. I mean, does anybody keep track of who attends?
I don't think we do officially take track of, non-council attendees.
Okay.
I mean, that would be people that are interested.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that come. Most of them are on Zoom, I feel like.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're typically topic sensitive.
Jody's saying Joy Hunter. Thanks, Jody. Okay.
Renee Van Buren, maybe. Or Rennie.
Okay, I wrote down that name as well. Well, if you can think of anybody else specifically that comes to mind, text me or email me and I'll reach out personally and go visit them and see how they feel, because we're going to need help with Dark Sky. Most of our subcommittee members are PTR members, and I think it's good that we have these subcommittees, the natural resources, which encompasses Dark Sky, the trails, the park, and then there was one for grants, but the only person on there is Greg Witt.
Yeah, he's the pro.
Yeah. So we've got the framework. We just need to fill in some of these subcommittees and pull them in as PTR committee members. Now, Ben and Janet, do those names have to go before the city council like all of ours did before, or no? I don't think we did that with Brad. Doral said it was just okay to put Brad on the committee when he was at our meeting. Is that the way we do it?
Maybe Jody can answer that question, but I believe it's more just the chairs.
Okay.
Okay. But
all right.
We'll find that out for you.
Okay. Great.
So I'm looking at the notes here, and Byron just sent some other names there if you want to look at those. And then Jody's also acknowledged that the signs are ordered through Zach Poulter.
Okay, sweet.
And Jody also put those names. So there's several names there. So
yeah, and Jody just confirmed not subcommittee members.
Just the officers.
Yeah, Jody, do we need to, confirm Parks and Trail members or just the officers?
I think it was officers and the executive council or whatever they called it. I don't know what it was. So.
Yeah, it's all Park Trails and Recreation Committee. Like the chair, your vice chair, and the main members.
So we've done the main members. We just need to get the rest of it done, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jody.
Thanks, Jody.
I wish we had more committee members here tonight.
Well, it turned out it was whatever your ward is, I think, Temple night. People are off with family. I think it's going to be a little bit of adjustment, and I need to do a better job of texting everybody and reminding them at least a week or two ahead of time so that they know. And I will do that. Any other business anybody can think of?
So are we going to nominate for chair, or are we going to wait till we have more members? Or somebody needs to throw a nomination out? Is that what?
Do we have a quorum?
No.
No.
Then I think we do need to wait.
Yeah, so that probably answers the question right there. So. Yeah,
so maybe put that out. An email is just saying, hey, we're gonna, anybody who's interested potentially. Here's the open option or offices that need to be filled. Please send their information to you, Sherry, and that way we can kind of see what the interest is, who's wanting to be committed for 2 years or whatever your guys' terms are, to be lapsed.
Or even if somebody just wanted to, like Sherry said, maybe just through the end of the year to get this up and running and then transition again after that or something.
Because I think didn't we get formed in January of it? I mean, it's been a year.
It's been a year, give or take. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And our appointment is, if you want to call it that, for 2 years. So, but I will do that, Ben. I'll send out an email to the entire committee, and I'll copy you and Janet on it as well.
Perfect. Yeah, and Janet just said it, and I agree with her. It would be nice if we had those names for that March 22nd council meeting for us to approve. Okay.
So I'll give people a deadline to respond. Okay. I did ask Janet before the meeting started. I followed up with her on, had she and Ben brought up to the city council about the sign in the park being changed for the hours to coincide with disturbing the peace. So in other words, go from 11 p.m. closure to 10:30 p.m. And Janet told me that there was discussion and all they had to do was change the sign. Now, when that's going to be done or if they voted on doing that, I don't know, but there was discussion about it.
And that one could be as easy as just getting a decal to put over it. I don't think you'd have to redo the whole sign.
No, it's about an $8 fix.
Yeah, $5
Let
or $10
me loop back in. Yeah, I'll loop back in with the mayor on that with Janet as well and make sure that there was no miscommunication or anything, and then we can make that happen.
Okay, yeah, and get the consistency there.
Okay. Other items to follow up on. I don't think that I had any from the previous meeting that we had. unless anybody else has anything they want to bring up.
So I'd sent you that sign information today, Sherry, and then I know Brad had sent you a little bit.
Right, and I copied that and sent it out to everybody.
Okay, and then I was in Moab Saturday, forgot to take pictures, because when I go biking, I go to bike. I'm not a picture person. I was in Park City last week, fat biking, and I was in St. George a couple weeks ago. So the signs I sent you today were from Lehigh, from Traverse Mountain, or Draper, I guess, technically. But I'll get you some more, and I think as we get it, maybe just compile or whatever you're doing to. So I think we can get a big enough collage there that people can look at that and hopefully make, decide what applies to us and what we're trying to accomplish here. But what I sent you today is just a sampling of what I've seen the last few weeks. I just haven't been great taking pictures other than what I sent you today. So.
Well, I appreciate that, John. And let's try to formulate something for our next meeting where, it will help too when the city council determines the use of the trail.
Then how to pack or how to word it. Yeah. Yeah,
and how use meaning who's on it, when they're on it, and how we enforce it. And that's part of our presentation too, is to how we do enforce the use, because that's a hard thing.
Yep.
It's a hard thing. And maybe then with the parking or daylight hours or whatever, it may be a lot easier, because it certainly is not easy at nighttime.
Send me Greg's drawing of that parking, because I'll be with Craig.
Okay.
Thursday. Well, if we're plowing tomorrow, I'll see him, because he stays available in case we have issues with the plows for maintenance.
Well, what I'll do is send you or resend you the recommendations that we made on the trail and the parking that was sent to the mayor and the city council back in August, and that has the drawing in it.
And then I'll just kind of throw that in front of Craig when I see him in the next 2 days and just get some feedback as far as his concerns, if there are any. So.
Okay, I'll do it when we adjourn.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Great. I second that.
Thank you, everybody.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Hey.
Stay safe. Bye.